Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order this Lacey City Council meeting on Tuesday, March 18th at 6 p.m. I also want to acknowledge that Councilmember Greenstein and Councilmember Stedman are excused, but all other council are present in the chambers. And if you're able, can you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'd like to acknowledge that we, the City of Lacey, are on the ancestral land of the tribal people, the Treaty of Medicine Creek, including the Nisqually Indian Tribe and the Squaxin Indian Tribe. And with that, can I get a motion to approve this evening's agenda and consent agenda items?
Move to approve the agenda and consent agenda items as published.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? And that motion unanimously passes. We have approved our agenda and the consent agenda items. Next up is public recognitions and presentations, our Lacey Youth Council report. Lacey Youth Council.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Sophia Allard, and I'm the representative for Timberline High School. Tomorrow we are hosting the Billy Frank Jr. Memorial at 5 o'clock to 7:30, where everyone's invited. Last week, API Club celebrated the Indian holiday Holi and had a lesson in Ramadan. This Friday we are having our spring assembly hosted by the leadership students, and next week is spring conferences, meaning we will have half days all week. Thank you.
Hello, Council. I'm Eliana, and I will be reporting on Pope John Paul II High School. Okay, so the most timely item would be that our junior retreat is starting tomorrow, which is really exciting because it is a school tradition that our junior retreat is run by the seniors. So I'll be gone for 3 days. And I think that'll be really fun. Don't tell the juniors, but I got to plan a murder mystery. I think that's pretty cool. Our spring sports are in full swing with our baseball team having an away game today. Our ASB has also started planning prom. The theme has been announced as well as the date, but not much else. So we're all kind of sitting in wait. We had a major shadow day last week where I think probably somewhere between 15 and 20 students from St. Michael's and Faith Lutheran all came and got to shadow students and kind of experience life at JP2. We also had a mini club fair, and it also happened to be a Soup Friday, which was pretty cool. So, and then speaking of Soup Friday, that is one of the many traditions that we have for Lent. We are a Catholic school, so the Lenten season is in full swing. We had a special Mass on Ash Wednesday where we got a cross on our forehead of ash, actually made out of Palm Sunday leaves, which is a major Catholic tradition all around the world. So if you saw anybody with weird black smudges on their face, that might have been it. And then for Lent, we have also begun having our on-campus chapel open for the entirety of lunch so that students can have adoration during lunch or whenever they want. And then after lunch every day, we also have a 10 to 15 minute prayer over the intercom. So that's pretty cool. And we also have different classes being in charge of bringing in soup. Non-meat-based soups on Fridays, because on Fridays we don't eat meat. So that's pretty cool as well. And then on lighter news, our chess team won state for the second year in a row, so that's really cool. And our knowledge bowl team also went to state. I do not know what score they got though, so I bet it was good. And then we had a donors board brunch recently that went pretty good, more on the administrative side. So all of our major donors came in, people who have been here since the beginning or people new this year to the school. And basically they were given a major update about general like planning for the school, and like, what the school is looking like in terms of both funding and plans for the next 10 to 15 years. So that's really exciting. And then we had ASB second semester representative elections because we change out our representatives every semester. So that was pretty cool. And then our jazz band has also been getting to do like pep nights at St. Martin's University. I don't know what sport they're currently playing, but basically they're playing music for those games. So good for them. I have heard it's very fun. I have no idea what sport is going on though. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Luca, and I'm representing the homeschool community. Homeschoolers have been active this spring. For example, some homeschoolers have been participating in field trips, such as going to the zoo, and some homeschoolers went to a talk by a neuroscientist. Spring sports are also in full swing. Personally, competitions have started for me, and I'm looking forward to some big sports events in April. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Kieran Sills-Powell, and I'm a junior at Summit Virtual Academy. We've had a lot going on this month. We've had a science-themed space night, We've continued on with our Billy Frank Jr. art projects, and we are also working on a lot of conference things and setting up our classes for next year. So we're working on high school and beyond planned, selecting courses, and just a bunch of different stuff. As a side note, I was accepted into the Compassion Scholars Program, which is run by the Washington State Leadership Board. 6 students out of the state are selected through a multi-step application, and I was one of those students. This means that on April 2nd, I will be going to Spain for a service learning project. Thank you.
Oh, congratulations.
Good evening, Council. I'm Dior Trin, and I will be representing Riverbridge High School. Spring sports have started, and we're currently planning to have our spring assembly recognizing team captains and to have fun with the whole school. Tomorrow is the start of ASB and class office elections, and I'm very excited to rerun as class president for my upcoming senior year. Our band is getting ready to host and participate in a Jazz Zone concert next week. And lastly, we're starting to plan prom and graduation, and our leadership class is stressed but is looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Council. My name is Lydia Neat, and I'm the representative for Northwest Christian High School. Honestly, we did not have that much going on this month. We had a couple sports start, baseball and track. Track is not so fun right now because we have a field, but our baseball team is going strong. I believe they're going against Pope John Paul tonight, so we'll see how that plays out. Our speech and debate team, we had our first in-person tournament where we hosted people from Montana and California and somewhere far away in Washington. And so that was very exciting for us. A lot of us took over multiple trophies. Our theater club, it is very engrossed in our Frozen practice right now. It has been very fun to see that pan out. We've only done a couple songs, but right now our chapel is like totally decked out for our elementary school as the Lion King, so we've just been kind of playing around in there. And then last Saturday, we had our annual school auction, and that was very exciting. We didn't sell as many tickets as we hoped to for that, but we were still able to raise a lot of money. And so, yeah, overall, it's been a good month, 2 months. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Sydney Lee, and I will be representing North Thurston High School. Our girls' basketball team recently went to state and got in third, and our choir will be going to state with 1 duet and 2 solos, and spring sports have just started. Our National Honor Society also will be hosting a blood drive, and our boys' soccer team won their alumni game. And our new spring musical, Alice by Heart, will be in May, and they're rehearsing for it now, and it's a musical inspired by Alice in Wonderland set in London during World War II. Thank you.
Cool. And congratulations on state.
Hello, Council. My name is Joel Whipple. I am doing the I'm representing the Youth City Council. Today we talked about human resources and the opportunities that you guys supply for us. Last month we talked to the communion on equity, and then we also got to act out what you guys do last meeting, and we had to choose whether we want to put a big toe in the front of the building. Obviously, we chose not to put a big toe in the front of the building. Thank you.
Good decision.
Thank you.
Thank you, Youth Council. We appreciate it. Keep up the good work. So now we're on to our proclamations and Transgender Day of Visibility. And we'll get started with Councilmember.
City of Lacey official proclamation. Whereas Transgender Day of Visibility was founded in 2009 by Rachel Crandall to acknowledge and celebrate transgender individuals and communities, including recognizing the events at Stonewall Inn in 1969, led by transgender women of color and other courageous leaders who helped empower and energize activism around the world in a unified voice of outcry against violence towards these communities and in support of their inalienable rights. And
whereas organizations around the world recognize Transgender Visibility Day to honor the accomplishments, resiliency, and countless contributions of transgender, gender nonconforming, and non-binary individuals, while raising awareness of the work still needed to eliminate discrimination and harassment based on gender identity, transgender status, or gender dysphoria. And
whereas we celebrate the countless accomplishments of transgender Americans, including sharing their stories in books and magazines, serving in the military, building thriving businesses, raising families, and much more. And whereas despite this progress, Americans who are transgender, gender nonconforming, and non-binary continue to face discrimination, barriers to opportunity, harassment, and possibilities of violence, particularly women and girls of color. Per the U.S. Department of Justice, the rate of violent victimization against persons who are transgender were 2.5 times the rate among persons who are cisgender. And
whereas on this day and every day, the City of Lacey stands with our community members who are transgender, gender nonconforming, and non-binary for dignity and equal rights, to build inclusive and healing spaces, and to protect and defend those who are most vulnerable. And whereas the City of Lacey, the Lacey City Council is committed to creating a community where all are welcome, feel safe, and fully accepted and embraced and respected, and can live openly in an authentic and accurate representation of who they are, free of violence, harassment, and discrimination. And
now, therefore, I, Andy Ryder, Mayor of the City of Lacey, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim March 31st, 2025 as Transgender Day of Visibility in the City of Lacey. And I encourage all community members to celebrate and respect the lives and voices of individuals who are transgender, gender nonconforming, and non-binary, and to work towards eliminating violence and discrimination in all forms. Signed, myself, Mayor Andy Ryder, on this date. Can we have come up and accept this award? Yes. Thank you so much. Say a few words.
Mayor Ryder, members of the council, good evening. I'm Lucas Miller. I am a board member of PFLAG Olympia. PFLAG is the largest and oldest organization in the country serving LGBTQ plus Americans, their friends, families, and allies. We've been providing support, education, and advocacy since 1973. As an organization primarily serving allies, we understand how important it is to have our communities stand with us at times like these. It's easy to stand up when times are easy and you know everyone is in favor of granting you your basic human rights. But, when people are telling you that your very identity is going to be legislated out of existence, that's when it becomes difficult, and that's when it becomes a real act of courage for allies from outside a marginalized community to stand with that community. Since Olympia declared itself a sanctuary city for LGBTQ plus Americans fleeing from red states and repressive laws, we at PFLAG have been contacted by numerous people from, all over the country, looking to relocate to Washington and to Olympia and the Olympia Lacey Tumwater area in particular, looking for, sanctuary. And we as a community are very grateful when bodies such as this one step up to help us offer them a safe and welcoming space. My colleague Quinn Snow from the New Boys Club would also like to say a few words.
Thank you so much, everyone, for having us. And thank you for making a proclamation about Trans Day visibility. That is appreciated. It was really well written, by the way. Some good details in there. I was like, man, some of my talking points got taken. So I'm from the New Boys Club. We are a peer support group for adults assigned female at birth that identify as transgender or like non-binary. And yeah, like Luke said, things are hard right now. And we are getting a lot more people into Olympia, into Washington State. In general, I am very grateful to live in Washington State. We have a lot of protections here. But unfortunately, there's only so much we can do at the state level, right? There's acts on the federal level that are out of our hands right now, in particular passports and other federal documentation. I know people that have had their gender marker changed 10 years ago, got it renewed, and it came back with a different gender marker. There's just a lot going on right now that we're struggling with. So even these gestures, help us feel safer, I think, to an extent. And yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, please. Well, I want you to know that Lacey is a place for you to feel safe and to feel welcome. And thank you for the work that you do to help others people feel safe and feel welcome. So next up, we have public comment. And I do have a couple people who signed up for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the council on any items? That's all right. I'm glad you're here to support. Yes. Is anyone else wishing to address the council? Seeing none, then we'll go on to our next agenda item, which is our Resolution 1165, Council Policies and Procedures, Chapter 7 updates. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. And as the Mayor indicated, before you tonight is Resolution 1165 to amend the Lacey City Council Policy and Procedure Manuals to include provisions for an informational dinner meetings. And this will be included under Section 7.07 Order of Business. As the council's been fully aware from the retreat to the work session a couple of weeks ago, council has looked at adding an additional regular public meeting to be able to have opportunity to discuss emerging topics or issues that are important to the council. And in doing so, we set up a proposal to hold an informational dinner meeting that would occur on the first Tuesday of every month prior to the regularly scheduled council meeting. The outline for this informational meeting is specified by or requested by council is have a start time at 4:30, and it would adjourn prior to the convening of the regular council meeting scheduled for that particular night at 6 p.m. The meetings would be open to the public to observe the conversation with council. but it'd be in-person attendance only with no video recording or broadcasting. And then, of course, council would accept public written comment at those meetings in advance. A public notice and agenda would be published in advance of these meetings, and meeting minutes will be taken to keep in line with the Open Public Meeting Act of the state of Washington. And then other than the approval of the agenda, no final actions will be taken by council at this particular meeting. And then also it's kind of important to note that the agendas will be informational only, so there wouldn't be a specific agenda items in advance of the meeting, but that once the meeting convened, the mayor or deputy whoever providing over the meeting would then call for topics at that particular point in time for council to discuss. Other changes to support this informational meeting that are included in the council's policy manual include under council reports. The suggestion of staff is to retitle what's currently called intergovernmental boards and commission reports at the end of every regular council meeting, to retitle that as council reports, to open that up to reflect not only reporting out in your interjurisdictional committee assignments, but also opportunity to bring anything forward that is an emerging issue that the council would like to discuss and by decision advance into a work session or other topics for further discussion on a particular topic. So that could be something that comes out of the informational meeting or in general nature. So it gives an opportunity for council to bring a council member to bring something to the full council, have a conversation about whether the council would want to consider the item further, and then direct staff to schedule it for a work session for staff to bring additional information for council's consideration. And then there's one other item I want to mention, and it's a minor edit to the policy manual. We took this opportunity as well. I think as council is aware, we've recently renamed the Public Affairs Department to Communications Department. And we reflected that change within where the Public Affairs Department was previously referenced in the policy manual to reflect the current title of Communications. So with that quick overview, I'd be happy to entertain any questions that council has. And of course, staff recommendation is to approve the motion before you.
I would move to approve Resolution 1165, amending the Lacey City Council Policies and Procedures Manual to include provisions for informational dinner meetings under Section 7.07, Order of Business.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Then that motion unanimously carries.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. And we would plan to have our first informational dinner meeting on April 1st at 4:30.
Great. Well, now I'm going on to the mayor's report. And as you can see, there's a tons of reappointments and appointments here. I think that was last week. I had, maybe it was a week before that, all my weeks are kind of going together. I had a couple full days of meeting with applicants for several different boards and commissions. And I remarked at the time that it was one of the most qualified group of candidates I think I have ever had as I was doing my interviews for the different boards and commissions. Everyone I interviewed, I could have easily selected to be on that boards and commission, and they were really quite outstanding. And so I just want to say that up front, it was very impressive, the amount of people in our community who are looking to give back to the city of Lacey. And I just want to thank everyone who applied, and it wasn't an easy decision at all, and actually had to move some things around to sort of make it work because I had so many good candidates. But what I recommend in this circumstance is I'll do two motions if that's possible. My first motion will be on the reappointments. I'd move that we reappoint the deputy mayor to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, and that we reappoint Hillary Dykstra to the Parks, Culture, and Recreational Board. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? And that motion unanimously carries. And then On my next motion, I would do it as a slate, if it's okay with this council, to appoint to the Planning Commission and Library Board and the Parks, Culture and Recreation Board and the Human Services Commission as listed on the mayor's report. And that would be my motion to approve those appointments.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. We have several of the candidates here. You want to come up and just introduce yourselves real quick and say which ones you're applying for? Yeah.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Mangione. Thank you for selecting me for the Planning Commission. I have been living between Lacey and Norway for the past 4 years, so I'm hoping to bring whatever insight that I can to the Planning Commission from that experience. But also, I just got accepted into graduate school at UW-Tacoma for community planning, so I'll be able to have that resource as well for the Planning Commission. Yeah. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ozza Noon, and I appreciate being appointed to the Library Board.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Annette Roth. I was recently, thank you to you, appointed to the Parks, Culture, and Recreation Board. I'm really excited about it. I have a history as part of my job doing arts and culture work across the state of Washington. Super excited about bringing that expertise here to Lacey to see us grow as we're the biggest city in our region, and we need to be proud of it. So thanks so much for the recommendation.
Thank you, Annette.
Annette,
You're doing better than with the interview.
I know, right? I was on a scooter. Good evening. I'm Yvette Temple. I am super honored to be appointed to the Human Services Commission.
Yeah.
I have served on a ton of nonprofit boards in the community for 16 years now, and I'm really excited to see what we can do with this process. So thank you so much, and I look forward to serving you and the citizens of Lacey.
Thank you so much. With that, there is a motion and a second to appoint those listed on the mayor's report for first-time appointments. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? And that motion unanimously carries. And thank you all. You guys were just absolutely amazing, and City of Lacey is very, very fortunate to have you advising them on with your expertise, and we really appreciate it. Okay, next on to the city manager's report. Do you have anything?
I do have one item. It's not on the agenda, but I do want to highlight a recent accomplishment. Sadie Siglin, our management analyst in the city manager's office, has just recently graduated, I think last Friday, from the Northwest Women's Leadership Academy. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So those of you who may not know, the Northwest Leadership Academy is sponsored by the Washington City County Management Association, and its purpose is to advance women working in local government into leadership roles. The Academy is an effort to create a pipeline of city and county leaders to be ready to step into leadership roles in local government, and it's open to women and non-binary applicants who currently work in municipal governments, including cities, counties, other local public sector organizations, tribal governments across Washington State. The Academy includes a combination of in-person and half-duty virtual sessions presented by recognized public sector leaders and experts. And this is a good opportunity to highlight one of those experts is our very own Shannon Kelly Fong, our assistant city manager, who is also a graduate and alumni of the leadership program as well. And of course, as part of the curriculum, one of the final items is they would participate in a small group team, and they had to pitch a conference topic for consideration. And Sadie's group focused on being open to candidates with non-traditional career pathways. And this really is highlighting the importance of considering an individual's experience and recognizing their diverse skill sets, adaptability, and ability to bring fresh perspectives and transferable skills and commit to the job. So with that, again, I want to recognize Sadie and her accomplishment, and we're really excited for her. to be that recent graduate, and I'll probably hear about it tomorrow, but I would love to be able to offer Sadie an opportunity to expound on her experience at the academy.
Oh.
So I went to Academy. It was really fun. It was a 6-month program. It was also my very first overnight work stay, so very big milestone for me personally. There were 36 women in this academy from across Washington State, which was really cool. I have a 10-year background in state government, and Lacey is my first local government experience, so it was really cool to meet people from different organizations and different sizes. There's actually towns smaller than even Montesano, I have found. So that was really exciting. There were women from the east side who have very different experiences in Pullman than we have here, so it was great to hear from them. And also women who do different things. Not everybody was a management analyst extraordinaire. There were a lot of parks people, clerks, public safety people, so I got to hear women who had different experiences in different parts of cities that I don't even get exposure to. So it was a lot of fun to hear that and hear that other women have unique struggles like me and other women in our organization, and be able to share our experiences and empower each other to be better and move up. Not that men don't have a great role in government, because everybody does, but it is nice to have kind of that group that you can really connect with on a different level. And as Rick mentioned, we all got in small groups. I had a small group of incredible women who were luckily very close regionally, so we had the opportunity to meet in person and work on our project. We did pitch doing the value of individuals with non-traditional backgrounds. Myself, I don't have a traditional college degree, and same with the women in my small group. So it was really fun to do a project not only that's really important, but something that we were all equally passionate about. So it's a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. I was really, I saw that, I think I was on social media. I saw it, and I was very proud. I know all the great work you're doing for the city of Lacey, and to see that you're committed and taking leadership courses, I'm sure you're going great places. So thank you, and congratulations.
Yeah, and this academy is really, I think, very valuable, because as I've gone to like the city managers conference, you see individuals that graduate start leading conference sessions, start getting out in public speaking, start getting more of those leadership roles and opportunities. And I think there's a lot of value to that effort that's been put on. I want to thank Shannon for her role and continue to contribute to that effort as well. So thank you. That concludes my report.
Great. Well, we're next on to boards, commissions, and committee reports. I'm up first. The Mayor's Forum did meet last Friday in Tenino. And we had an opportunity, there was a month that we had the port was there, who gave us a lot of updates on what's happening at the port, and there's a lot happening at the port right now with their master planning process and other things they're going through. And also the county was there, Ty Menser was there representing the county, and we got to talk about a few issues that are going on there, and of course all the mayors sort of talk about what's going on in their communities, and we're all there for each other to talk about what's going on and support each other. So it's always a good time going to the Mayor's Forum. That's my report. Deputy Mayor.
I do not have a report tonight. EDC will meet next Wednesday.
Okay, Councilmember Cox.
Intercity Transit Authority met on March 5th. I've been talking about this for a bit, about a major service change that we had hoped to launch in September, and there was supposed to be a public hearing on that tomorrow night. However, because of uncertainty in state and federal funding, the planning staff is reevaluating the timeline for this bus system redesign. And so once there's a better handle on what may or may not happen, we'll take it back and have a public hearing on it. I think they're committed to doing it. It's just we want to do it responsibly and not have to retreat from it. We also had an update from the attorney from Summit Law, who's been legal counsel to the bargaining team, and our Chief Financial Officer, Jana Brown, on labor negotiations with the Amalgamated Transit Union Local 1675. We also received an evaluation of the economic impact of the agencies and the union's most recent proposals. There's been some back and forth since then, and so we may know more tomorrow. And then Justin Layton, who's Executive Director of the Washington State Transit Association, provided a review of the 2025-2027 legislative biennium session and the possible impacts of projected shortfalls to transit funding. So don't mean to be a gloomy Gus here, but it's kind of nervous times when you're trying to plan big changes like this. The LOT, Clean Water Alliance, met on March 12th. We received a presentation from Jeff Johnson, who's Executive Director of the Olympic Region Clean Air Alliance, talking about LOT's air quality permitting and ORCA's work with other jurisdictions. Another business, we declared a property that LOT has owned on Henderson Boulevard in Tumwater as surplus, and we hope that's going to become the site of some affordable housing for seniors there. The board also approved the use of $125,000 from LOT's Affordable Housing Support Program shared pool to support the Franz Anderson Housing Project that's brand new out there. And this would mean, like, I think they'd only pay 50% of the hookup fees for that. And the shared pool, each of our cities and the county gets $125,000 for this purpose. And then there was another $125,000 set aside for unexpected or new things that may have come along. So this is what we decided to use the shared pool for this year. A giant crane is going to be appearing on the landscape in downtown Olympia for several years. This has got to do with the phase 2 of a digester project that's going to mean closing a segment of Franklin Street. We're trying to make this fun and friendly, so we may have a contest to name the crane. So if you get creative and have some fun with that. And then it's also going to mean having to make some changes in the way LOT receives hauled waste, like particularly from food trucks and commercial haulers, RVs, and other users. So the word is trying to get out to them, but they're, if you didn't get the word, you might have a little surprise there. We also received updates on LOT's comprehensive communications plan and stepped up social media approach, going out over multiple platforms now, a design contract for an upcoming project, and LOT's safety program. That's my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Vasquez.
I have one report. The Thurston Regional Planning Council met on March 7th, and we had an update from LOT. We also had an update from Intercity Transit, where we heard about their plan to really overhaul the way that their routes are designed, like the route map. To put it very, very briefly, and I'm sure Carolyn could talk in a lot more detail about this, but what we have now is sort of a hub and spoke model for transit in Thurston County, and what they're thinking about shifting to is more like a spine with sort of lines coming off model, because they want to speed up trip times for some of our core arterial travel paths so that people can take transit and get where they're trying to go faster. Like more of the folks that will choose to ride the bus can get where they're going faster with fewer stops. So it's really exciting that Intercity Transit is in the midst of this sort of overhaul of their transit map, and you should be seeing some of those changes as soon as September. So that was really exciting to hear. Do you want to say anything about that?
Except maybe not September. That's what we may have to delay it.
Well, I was so hopeful, but soon there will be an updated intercity transit roadmap. Something else that we talked a little bit about is the Thurston Regional Transportation Plan, and we talked about future conditions. So what are we going to expect Thurston County to look like, and what are the projects, the regional transportation projects that we have in the pipeline between now and 2050? So, a couple of details that we talked about. What will Thurston County look like in 2050? We're going to have 106,000 more people. We'll have 52,000 more jobs. We will have 58,000 more housing units, 52,000 more people living near transit, which is one of the reasons why the new route map is going to be really important. We have 80 different regional projects. I think I said 18 miles of new roads, 36 miles of new general purpose lanes, 29 miles more of new multi-use trails. So there's a lot of projects in the pipeline over the next, 25 years. But one of the things that Thurston Regional Planning Council is really good at is projecting out in the decades to come, right? For like you and I, a lot of times we plan, maybe a couple years in the future for our personal lives, but Thurston Regional Planning Council, their purpose is to plan for the growth across generations for Thurston County. So we know that based on our anticipated growth and the projects that we have in the pipeline, that we're not going to meet some of our regional goals related to traffic congestion, traffic safety, greenhouse gas emission reduction, without policy changes. So we had a good conversation about that, where if everything stayed the same, right, our land use zoning, the work that we're doing, to encourage folks to drive single occupancy vehicles less, to be safe on the roads, in some areas we're actually trending in the wrong direction. We have a target 0 for traffic fatalities and serious injuries by 2030. And if you look at the trend line for serious injuries and deaths on the road, we're actually going up instead of down. So I think we had 147 deaths or serious traffic injuries in Thurston County in 2023, and we're aiming for 0. So that's just something that we as elected officials need to keep in mind, is that if we change nothing, we're not going to hit our goals, which means we have to think differently about how do we get closer to some of those goals that we've set in terms of access to transit, access to parks, the ability to drive less. So it was a great report. I'm happy to share the slides with the council.
Thanks. Councilmember Dunning.
I wanted to take this time to go over my big takeaways from NLC. I passed them along to the city manager earlier to dive into them a little bit deeper, but I wanted to give you guys kind of highlights from the things that we discussed or that were important topics. A couple of the really big overarching topics, tax-exempt municipal bonds. NLC is pushing really hard. Obviously, those will impact us quite a bit if any of the policy change with those. So really all of NLC was really pushing the legislatures to make sure that that's something that continues moving forward, because it will greatly impact our community if that gets taken away. We also met with a representative from Department of Veterans Affairs. There's a lot of kind of, I don't know, scare tactics, a lot of misinformation. There's just a lot of unknowns out there, but they verify that there is currently no planned changes in services or compensation for military veterans. So that was really reassuring to get that direct information from someone who actually works for the Department of Veterans Affairs. If you guys you might have heard of this, might not, Filling the Gap tool. It's an app that NLC had been working on for a while, which is finished, which is a wonderful resource to provide matching services for small, medium, large grants for housing. So it basically you can search through this app and find, kind of match, direct what grants would apply to exactly what things. And for all sizes of projects, whether it be state grants, federal grants. So that's something that could be a really big tool moving forward for cities, especially smaller cities who don't really have the resources to have people working on this stuff all the time. But it could work really well for us. So it'll be fun to kind of dig around in that. And then a really interesting presentation from a company called Upwards. They are the largest, you know about this, Malcolm? Yeah. So the largest childcare network in the United States, about 160,000 certified and registered childcare providers. One of the really interesting things that they said is that there's not actually a lack of childcare providers, there's a lack of matching services. And they provide instant matching services for families. They provide 24-hour access, so especially for like military communities who have reservists or National Guard members who need someone on the weekends or odd hours. And so they work with cities, municipalities, businesses. So that's really something that we can dive into a little bit more and see if there's something that they can do, or at least if we get that information, if we can get it to our community members to kind of utilize those services. And a lot of it they actually subsidize as well too, so they can provide and find grants and subsidies for people of different income and different backgrounds. So that was actually really interesting presentation we got. And then this we got a little presentation over One Door to Work, which is, I equate it a little bit to our Veteran Service Hub, but it's for employment. It's a Utah model. And there's some kind of stipulations. They do this in Utah because their kind of rules, regulations allow them to. But it's a really interesting program that basically gives one provider to someone who's seeking employment for everything they're doing, kind of like our Veteran Service Hub. It's got a one-stop shop for everything. So it'd just be something to look into and see if there's anything that we can take in the city that can help our members as well too. So that was just something I found to be really interesting. And then we also met with Joe Bushnell, who's the chair of the Military Council, and invited him down to come see the Veteran Service Hub, and he's actually in Tacoma. So if we can pass along some of the things that we're doing to other communities, because there's not a lot of opportunities for the different military communities to get together, and when we do, there's not a lot of time. So if there's something that they can take back to NLC or other areas and he can pass along in meetings throughout the year, I think what we're doing is amazing, and other cities should be all over this as well too. So those were the biggest things. I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to add.
Yeah, it was before the conference late last year, I did a presentation to the Military Community Council on the Lacey Veteran Services Hub. And so it was very well received. Obviously, it's just an amazing model that is really being looked at as the service model to make sure you're matching the vet center, which has the mental health component with other services in one location. And so I was very pleased to hear that the new chair of the Military Community Council is a council member from Tacoma, and he, of course, had heard about it, and so it's great that he's coming down to take a tour. This was the most well-attended National League of Cities conference in the history of NLC. So there was a lot of people showing up, trying to get a little bit of insight on what will be the impacts working with the federal government going forward. Of course, when I was there, I met with our federal delegation, and at the time, we still had in the 2025 budget a direct allocation in there for a generator for the new police station. Since our new police station is obviously going to have our emergency center in it, you obviously need that functioning if the power goes out. And so that generator is something that is really important, and it was in the budget, but that budget wasn't passed with the new CR. That is no longer in there. And so unfortunately, we're on Plan B on that. One of the things that's talking to the entire federal delegation and talking to some leadership at NLC is that they were advising that regions sort of start coming together and start prioritizing projects, because what we're seeing, historically what we're seeing is a city will go out, a port will go out, county will go out, and they're all talking about different things. And we're going to, I think, have to be a little more strategic on the bigger issues going forward. So that is something I've already talked to our city manager about, and we're going to discuss of what that would look like in our region, and who would be the best to convene a federal committee, federal priorities committee. And so we'll talk that through and see what the next steps are. But I think that will probably be really important during this administration, is to have a little more focused approach coming from our region. So it was, like I said, it was very well attended. Everyone's interested in what the next steps are, what's going to be the best approach, and I think the jury's still sort of out about what's going to be the best approach. Although the one things that we did keep hearing, and it's something for us to keep in mind, is it is really, as we know, it is really expensive to spend federal dollars, and so I think it's an opportunity to see what are the roadblocks, what are the things that are in place, why is it so expensive to spend federal dollars, and is there things that we can do to streamline that and to have more direct allocation going straight to cities and towns and villages, and that seems to be sort of the overall approach NLC is starting to take, is to find ways where we can have direct allocations. Now, there's a lot of rules that need to be figured out along those lines, and we'll see how that all plays out. But at least there may be opportunities to sort of streamline funding, and if that happens, I'm happy for it. So, but it's a stay in tune, and we'll try to figure out as we go along. Okay, thank you for your report. We have reached the end of this agenda, but we're going into an executive session to discuss a litigation matter with a legal counsel. Right now it is 6:52. That will convene at 7 o'clock, and they will meet in executive session for 15 minutes and reconvene at 7:15. I'm going to ask the deputy mayor to run that executive session. I'm not going to take part of that executive session. I'll stay here though until the end of our meeting, until it's adjourned. And so we'll just adjourn to this executive session that will start at 7 o'clock. We've just came back from executive sessions. No decisions were made. We have reached the end of our agenda. So without objection, I'm going to call this meeting adjourned. And as always, you keep it classy, Lacey.